Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? It's Matt here, back with another retrospective review, and it's about high time I got back to my beloved Xenoblade series, and today we're talking about Xenoblade 2 Torna, the Golden Country. Now, this is technically a DLC expansion pack for Xenoblade 2. However, this is a unique game with unique areas, a unique cast, and a whole different story. Everything's different. It has no actual connection as far as gameplay goes to Xenoblade 2. In other words, you don't have to play Xenoblade 2 up to a certain point. You don't have to get to a certain thing. You don't have to do anything. You literally can buy the game. In fact, the game was sold separately. So in a sense, it is a standalone title. Though if you're coming into it without playing Xenoblade 2, you're going to be a little bit lost because they don't exactly explain the entire world setup. So anyways, what is Torna? It's a prequel. It's a prequel to the main game that takes place 500 years before and shows you basically the backstory, if you will, of one of the main villains of the main game and a little more backstory of one of the other main and protagonists, being Mithra specifically. And basically this is how all DLCs should go. This is a 50-hour completionist run, about 30, 40 hours if you just walk through. This is what you want when you get an expansion to a game. This is like the gold standard. So how is the game overall? Well, it takes the sort of very basic core concept of 2, but it throws a lot of what's into away. In other words, there's no gacha mechanics. Your party is completely set. You're also going to have new twists to your battle system because you don't have the freedom of necessarily having a giant party member of all these different, gacha blades, if you will. You basically how they work the combo system and the topple and the break system is really different. Now it's a tag-based game. In other words, it's like a tag-based fighter, where you're doing one thing with one character and then you do a tag button, they swap in, and that causes stuff. So basically now, if you break an enemy, you then tag in your partner, and then when the partner on the tag, that's how they topple them. And then someone will launch them, and then you tag in another person, and that's how they get, launched to smash to launch. It's crazy. So in a sense, it's actually kind of easier to sort of grasp and wrap your head around the battle system. They actually also, thankfully, went out of their way to put an actual encyclopedia in the option menu this time, so you can actually reference things, unlike the first game, which is like, I told you once, I told you 1,000 times, I don't need to tell you any more times than once. You can actually, have an in-game guide to sort of, wait, what does this mean? What did that mean? So in a sense, there's actually improvements here. There's also improvements in the graphics as well, because you get what they call it, an Engine 2.5 on this one. The resolution's a little better, the textures are better. You'll notice a weird kind of interesting thing where you'll see some of the colors seemingly start to bleed out of the character's outline sometimes, but either way, it's definitely a better looking game on a very technical level from 2, just because it's a little bit more refined engine. But like I said, this is all about a whole new cast in a whole new time era, set in the same universe as Xenoblade 2. And for a lot of people, they actually really like the main cast of Torna more than the main cast. And I don't necessarily disagree with that sentiment, because Adam's great. And Laura's great, and Jin is actually great in this game. And then you even get stuff with a Gion and Brigid, which is actually also pretty great. The only one who's like not super great is Hugo. And it's not because Hugo's bad or anything. It's just kind of like he's a nice boy. That's it. So there's not much to say about his character. As the Emperor of Mor Ardain in the past, he's just a very nice guy. He's very good friends with Adam. There's really not much more to say about him. But again, he is, fifth fiddle anyway, so it's not really, you don't have to worry too much about that. Either way, though, this is a great cast of characters. Adam is way more fun and personable than you see in the flashbacks in 2. There's also a sort of running gag throughout this DLC, which is everyone hates Mithra. And if you found Mithra's personality grating, you'll really enjoy Torna, because everyone takes the piss out of her in this game. And it's kind of fun to kind of see. Also, she goes through some major trauma. And that kind of leads to what this game really is about. If you were expecting a sort of happy, bright, go-lucky game, well, you weren't paying attention to Xenoblade 2, or you didn't play Xenoblade 2 first, because, yeah, this is the story of how everything went to crap in Xenoblade 2, and honestly, I'm all here for it. Now, I know a lot of people like to sit there and say, like, oh, you just like sad, depressing things, and well, but either way, the story is fantastic, and it's told wonderfully, And it definitely feels like the voice actors got a little more time to record more lines on this one compared to the first game, which you could just sort of tell they were like, you said the line once, good, move on, next line. That's for the English dubbing. Japanese is there, of course, if you want to play it, if you're one of those people. But yeah, if there's any real fault with Torna, and I gotta be fair, because there's a major glaring oversight, and that is they artificially pad the crap out of this game at two specific points by making you go do side quests, which makes them, I guess, not side quests, but I guess you have the options of which ones you want to do. But yes, there are 2 points in the game where you must complete a number of objectives in side quests. You have to build your community rank, as it's called, to progress the main story. And yeah, this pretty much drags the game to a dead stop. And I understand the point of what they're doing, which is they want you to really get to know and learn and understand the people of Torna, which, if you know anything going into this game, feels kind of like a weird sort of, it's just a twist of the knife. Like, hey, I want you to, now you're going to learn about how this country got nuked. Now I want you to learn all the personal lives and backstories of all the people in that town, before the whole thing goes up in smoke. So it's kind of like this weird sort of like, I want to twist the knife in there. I want you to really feel for these people before like a vast majority of them get offed. So great game. I love it, actually. Like, the story is fantastic. The ending is, dang, it's just so good. And it goes places you don't think it would go. It gets dark in ways you wouldn't really expect a Xenoblade game to get necessarily. So it's a fantastic time all around. It's got a soundtrack that is heavily jazz inspired. Apparently, it was Takahashi saw Whiplash and was really impressed with the movie, and he really wanted to have a very Whiplash jazz-infused version of the soundtrack. And since Xenoblade 2's soundtrack at the time was already pretty much wrapping up, they're like, okay, for Torna, you get this very jazzy, heavy music, atmosphere, ambiance, and everything. And it flows well. Don't get me wrong. It's not just kind of like, hey, I made this, a depressing war game, and I just wanted to have jazz music all over it. No. It's woven in well. And when the music needs to be sad, it's suitably sad and stuff like that. They're not just playing like upbeat jazz tempo while people are getting blown up, so you don't have to worry about that. But yes, it has one of the most catchiest battle themes of all time, definitely up there with some of the other greats of the series. And overall, for a game that came out at like $40 standalone, I think it was $30 if you bought it, as a pre-order or as an expansion bonus, a digital only one. Absolutely worth it. This game had more content, more hours you could put in, more stuff to do than most finished full-price AAA productions. And not only that, it had great characters, great voice acting, great music. Everything about it was great, except for those straight-up roadblocks they put you in twice in the game, which makes replaying the game a little rough, because even if you New Game Plus this, you still have to stop and mash through a bunch of, side quest cutscenes that you've probably already seen before on replay. So not the most infinitely replayable of the games, but dang it, it's hard not to love it anyways. Main characters are great. It really shows how strong the villains of 2 were. Not just with Jin, but also with the Malthus and stuff like that. So like, you're just getting such a better view, because it's a prequel that does what it's supposed to do. It strengthens and enhances the main game, and it makes you look at Xenoblade 2's story and characters in a completely different light after going through it. And that's what you'll want. That's what a prequel is supposed to be. George Lucas, you can bawl your eyes out at this. This is how it's done, baby. So my rating for Torna is 9.5. It's a fantastic game, gold standard for expansions. Only real nitpick I have is, boy, those roadblocks are real apparent when they put it up. Like, hey, stop, go do fetch quests before I let you progress the game. And it's hard not to notice that. Now, critically, maybe that would knock the game a little lower, but hey, this is my review, and it's 9.5. I loved it. Most people loved it. Hell, even Xenoblade 2 detractors had to admit that this game had a great cast and had a great story. So go out, buy it. I mean, you can still find physical copies floating around. It's available digitally. You don't even need to buy 2 if you don't want to, but if you're going to play 2, you have to play this. That's mandatory. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done. I don't care what your personal life schedule is. Get it out of the way. Clear it, because you're going to need to play Torna. You cannot play 2 without Torna, and you should be playing Torna anyways. So clear your schedule, boys and girls and non-binary people of all. You need to play this game. 9.5. Go out. Check it out. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you on the channel. Later, dudes.